Hi, I'm Greg Howlett. I want to take a few video clips and walk through a simple song with you. The song, the little hymn, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. Now, I'm planning on about 5 clips, and in each clip, I'm going to give you a little nugget, something that you can do to the song to make it better. By the time we get through with this little series, you'll have a number of little things that you can do to the song to make it sound pretty good. We're going to talk about harmony here for the first few clips, and the thing I'm going to talk about in this clip in particular is something you can do every time you come to a 4 chord in the song. Now, if you don't know what I mean by a 4 chord, let me encourage you to step back, maybe take a walk through the internet. There's a lot of free sites that'll talk about how we number chords, including my site, by the way, greghowlett.com. I have a course, by the way, available at greghowlett.com called Theory for Church Pianists, which goes into all this and much more, and helps build a foundation for you so you won't get lost when I talk about things like 4 chords. But I'm assuming that most of you know what a 4 chord is. And when you come across one, I'm going to give you a cool thing that you can do to it. Basically, it comes down to adding some additional chords in front of it. Now, before we get started, I want you to start thinking in terms of chords. And this is the way I look at a song very typically. This is a chart, what I call a chart, and it just has chords on it. In the case of What a Friend We Have in Jesus, we have a 16-bar or measure song, 16 bars or measures. And I have them here. There are actually 4 phrases. Each phrase has 4 bars in it. So 4 times 4 is 16. It's sort of like a grid. I used to be a software engineer, and that's the way I think about music, the twisted way I think about music. 4 phrases, 4 bars in each phrase. And you see I have them there. You can see them on your screen as well. Now, the key thing about it, or one of the key things to know, is that typically in this kind of music, you have 1 chord in each bar. And that's the case here. For example, the first phrase, the first bar is 1, then you go to 4, 1 and 5. That's the first 4 bars and the first 4 chords. Now, sometimes you may have multiple chords in the same bar, such as we see in the second line, the 3rd bar. We start with a 1 chord and then we move to a 5. When I write that, I write a line underneath it. It means that's a split bar. But you can notate this any way you want. As a matter of fact, if you don't want to work this way, another easy thing to do is just go back to your hymnal, open up your hymnal, and then write in the chord numbers above each bar, each measure. Really is important that you start thinking in terms of chords rather than notes. Now, if you've done that, and you can do it, you can write it down, it should be on your screen, or you've seen it on your screen already, or maybe you want to chart the song for yourself. But what you'll notice pretty quickly is we have 4 occurrences of the 4 chord in this song. Each phrase has 1 4 chord. In phrases 1, 2, and 4, the 4 chord occurs in the 2nd bar. Do you see that? 1, 2, and 3. Here's phrase 1. You have a 4 chord on the 2nd bar. Same goes for phrase 2 and phrase 4. In the 3rd line, you have the 4 chord occurring at the beginning of the 3rd bar. Okay. Now, this song is very typical in that it's pretty repetitious. The 1st, 2nd, and 4th line all pretty much the same. And we're going to I'm going to show you how to do one of them, and you'll know exactly how to do all of them. But what we're going to do is we're going to insert chords in front of the 4 chord. And the chords that we're going to insert are the minor 5 and the dominant 1 chord. Minor 5 and dominant 1. Now, some of you that are in theory know that when I'm talking about a minor 5 and a dominant 1, I'm referring to what we call secondary chords. The dominant 1 chord, which, by the way, is a major triad with the minor 7th added. In the case of this song, we're in the key of F. So we're adding an E flat to that chord, making it E flat. Now, here is a normal F chord, and that chord is what we call, well, it's resolved. It doesn't have to go anywhere. But once you add the E flat to it, now all of a sudden it needs to resolve. So when you add the E flat to that 1 chord and make it a dominant, all of a sudden you're changing the function of that chord, and that's important to understand. We got to put a dominant 1 chord there. In front of the dominant 1 chord, we put the minor 5 chord. The minor 5 chord is actually a 2 of 4. Now this is going back to theory. But the dominant 1 chord is technically a secondary dominant. It's a 5 of 4. We call it a 5 of 4. The minor 5 is technically a 2 of 4. You can think of it either as minor 5, 1, 7, or you can think of it as 2 of 4 moving to 5 of 4. But it's the exact same theory that makes the 2-5-1 progression work. We're doing a 2-5 progression, but we're doing it in front of a 4 chord. So right before the 4 chord, we're going to insert the dominant chord that's a 5th higher, and then go up and insert the minor chord that's a 5th higher than that. Minor 5, 1, 7, 4. Okay? Now, let's hear it in practice. Here's how it would sound. This is what a friend would give. Let me play it the way it's typically written. First of all, we move from 1 to 4. Get that? 1, 4. Okay, so that's typical. Here's the new way. We're going to play F, C minor, 1, 7, which is your F7. Okay, so what we did was we inserted a minor 5, which in the key of F would be C minor, and then we inserted the 1, 7, which is an F7 chord. So we play this, and then this. And we're going to insert those 2 chords in front of the 4 chords. Again, here's how it would sound. F, C minor 7, F7, B flat. Okay, here it is. I'll call out numbers this time. 1, minor 5, 1, 7, 4. By the way, that's a sharp 4 diminished. We're going to talk about that chord later. Don't get worried about that now. We'll talk about it in a different segment. Let's keep playing. Here's the second line. We're going to do the exact same thing. F, C minor, F7, the B flat or the 4 chord. Okay, we're to the third line now. I'm speeding up a little bit. Okay, we're on the 1 chord moving to the 4, but I'm going to insert those other 2 chords. C7, C minor 7, 1 and 7. There's your 4 chord. Okay, let's do that line again. 1, minor 5, 1, 7, 4. Last line is the same thing as the first line and the second line. 1, minor 5, 1, 7, 4. And that's it. That's your little tip. Now you can do this in any song, but it has to work with the melody. Sometimes it just won't sound good, and in those cases you just have to let it go. You can't use it in every single song. It has to work with the melody. For that reason, what you'll find is very often you have to sort of fudge where you put those 2 chords. Sometimes you may have to put them on an offbeat. Sometimes you may have to give them different amounts of time. You're usually going to steal a few beats from the chord in front of the 4 chord. So go to the bar in front of the 4 chord and try to steal a few beats to insert these 2 chords. But there's no hard and fast rules on how long you're going to hold them, how long those beats are going to be. Sometimes it may be just a half second. Other times, or not a half second, a half beat. Sometimes you may hold one of those chords for 2 beats. Everything, let your ear be your guide. Whatever sounds good is what you're going to do. So hopefully that gave you a good tip to get you started, and we'll talk about other things you can do harmonically in the next video.